So these are the rota caps. So this is a rota capsule, and when you put this rota capsule into the rota hailer, and you just twist as this person is doing, he's twisting the upper and the lower portion in the clockwise and anti-clockwise direction. The capsule will break. The powder will fall into the container. In this container, and the patient has to breathe in and out. So this is a simple way for your question yesterday. If the patient is not synchronizing, the advantage of this is for patients who are elderly, who are who are not able to synchronize with your MDI. Rotaheller is the best option. So, but what is the disadvantage of this?
Every time you use, you have to put the capsule instead of a meter dose inhaler, when you don't have to worry about the capsule or tablet where you can.
Yes, one is you have to keep a capsule. Second is the most of the powder gets attached to the plastic inside, and therefore you have to ensure that the chamber of the rotaheller is dry, and if it is not dry, then most of the powder will stick to the chamber walls, and the efficacy would be very less. So MDI is the best, but in terms of efficacy, because it is directly pushing the uh, uh, directly pushing the drug into your respiratory system. Over here, the patient has to voluntarily breathe in and out and ensure that powder is that goes into his respiratory system. So a few holes also. So what is the function of this infant feeding tube?
Sir, it has diagnostic functions and therapeutic functions. So for diagnosis, it can be used for tracheoesophageal fistula. Then in case of an imperforate anus, then in choanal atresia, sir, in that case, we'll feel a resistance. It will just coil up.
In
Then
medicine,
for
in medicine,
sir, it could be used for poisoning cases where we can aspirate the poison and send for analysis.
no, this is
So
a
then,
very
in case of
small tube. It is a very small tube. It is hardly not more than 30 cm long. Right, still.
so for
And in
TB, in case of children, it can be used the aspirin from the stomach in case of children when they tend
yeah,
to.
in children's it is the infant feeding tube, but in medicine I'm asking because you will be giving medicine, na practicals.
Yes, sir.
So any other use of this?
Sir, feeding
No,
for
no.
children.
In medicine I am talking adult medicine. Not in pediatrics. This tube for and you have to venous, not venous, but can be used for giving IV fluids by doing a venesection. Means you cut the at the cubital fossa, you make an incision and you expose the vein, and you can pass the infecting tube and you can ligate it. Both you have for oral suction. Okay.
Okay, sir.
the side effect would be either it would be blocked or there is infection.
Yes.
And it is single use and
Non-pyrogenic,
sterile.
sterile.
Okay, this, yes, this. Any volunteers for this? Tanmay, can you answer?
So even no, I am
So
not
this
able
is
to make up. It's a
okay. So this is a suction catheter.
suction catheter.
Suction catheter. Okay. The problem with taking online lecture is you are not able to assess the three-dimensional picture because you are not able to see it visually. When you see the actual catheter, it is pretty long, and the infant feeding tube is very small. So this is a suction catheter. It is a long catheter. It has got a blunt tip, non-traumatic. It is sterile, single use catheter. It has got multiple and for injection catheter. The other is applied to the suction system. He can carry the Eurosac bag as well as he is mobile, he can walk also. So These are the advantages. So what are the uses where you will put Foley's catheter?
In case of urinary retention or spastic bladder, flaccid bladder, or
Yes,
in case of monitoring urine, also we put this and collect the urine for
24-hour urinary output. Then any
Yes,
other?
sir.
But if
To
the
give
patient
bladder
is
wash,
awake and patient,
yes, sir.
see if the patient is awake and mobile or he can pass urine, then you don't need Foley's catheter. So 24-hour urinary monitoring, the patient can collect his own urine in a bottle also. So in patients who are immobile or patients who are unconscious, you want to monitor the urine output, you can put a Foley's catheter. Then
So post trauma or any injury, we in casualty we usually put
no, you have to
and
give proper answers and appropriate indications. In stricture urethra,
stricture urethra. Yeah.
especially in stricture urethra, you will put a small size Foley's catheter and gradually you will dilate by using the dilators, urethral dilators, and gradually increase the size of Foley's catheter. So it will also dilate the urethra and prevent the urethra from strictures. Uh, in patients having urinary retention because of benign enlargement of the prostate, patient is having strangulation, strangury, or patient is not able to pass the urine because of prostatic enlargement, the median lobe of the
Bladder outlet.
prostate which will block the prostatic urethra. In them, you can pass a Foley's catheter. Then, any other indication where you can
Sir,
put
you said about
Foley's catheter?
stricture, sir. When a patient comes in, so when a patient comes in the trauma and you see blood at the urethral orifice, we don't put Foley's, right?
So that is a contraindication
Yes,
where
yes.
you should not put a Foley's catheter,
Yeah.
especially patients having profuse hematuria. Now, the hematuria could be because of trauma to the urethra or because of some bladder pathology. But if you are suspecting there is a rupture urethra, we should avoid putting Foley's catheter because that would be a false passage. So that would be a contraindication.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So for installation of chemotherapy drugs in case of carcinoma, that's a therapeutic use. So
Any that is one. That is also one indication. Other indication is for
BCG, BCG.
cystourethrogram.
Okay.
If you want to do a micturating cystourethrogram, you can pass a Foley's catheter and
Yes,
instill
sir.
dye into the bladder. Okay. So that is one more indication.
Yes, sir.
So what are the contraindications of not putting a Foley's catheter, where you will not advise Foley's catheter?
So if you see blood at the urethral tip, or in case of
So in rupture urethra,
in
you would
case
not
of any
put.
injury to the genital, yeah, yes, sir.
Yes, you would
Yes,
avoid
sir.
putting a Foley's catheter. Or in patients who are diabetic having urinary tract infections, you should avoid putting Foley's catheter because that will precipitate a lower urinary tract infection going into the kidneys and patient will develop pyelonephritis. And
So,
if
sir,
you
what do you
if
prefer
the
in case of diabetic?
pardon in a patient of
So
diabetes
what do you
who have urinary
prefer?
tract infection, if the patient conscious oriented, the patient can pass urine. We don't require a Foley's catheter if the patient is able to pass urine.
Okay, sir.
Okay, and we give antibiotics to the patient. What are the any contraindications? Any other contraindications? Or we are finished with the contraindication. What can be complications of this catheter, Foley's catheter?
Prolonged keeping and multiple uses can cause stricture by itself. And if you
Okay,
push too much of air, the bulk can rupture and the urine, the
we
Foley's can
never
fall
push
off.
air. We can push saline.
Saline. Sorry, sir. Yeah.
Saline. So one complication is urinary tract infections. The second complication would be a trauma, false passage. Uh, Now, how you will know that the catheter is in the bladder and not into the perineal cavity?
Why? Once the urine starts to come out, it is a short indication that it's in
So,
bladder.
yes. Second is by doing a sonography. In sonography, you will see the balloon floating in the urinary bladder.
Yes.
Okay. So, unfortunately, if you are not able, if you want to remove Foley's catheter and you cannot deflate the balloon because this channel is blocked. So, what other mechanisms you can do?
So we can
So
push
we can
excess
cut.
of saline and we can make the
Rupture the
balloon
balloon.
rupture.
Yes. So one
So
is
if the
rupturing
side
the
valve
balloon
is
by excess
side
saline.
valve is gone, so how will you pass extra?
Pardon?
So the side way, which is used to insufflate and take out the saline, if that is gone, how will you put in more saline?
Yeah. So there are two things in this. If you cannot deflate the balloon, so if you cannot aspirate from here, but if you can push in, that is, if you cannot aspirate, but you can push in from this, then definitely excessive saline you put and you rupture the balloon. But any other way, where as you said, both way it is blocked. So even input
So,
as well as outflow, inflow as well as
so you
outflow is
can
blocked. Then
so you can cut above the level of the valve, or
yes,
rupture the balloon with a ureteric cannula and guide wire, and as a last resort,
so
USG guided rupture per abdomen or
yes.
per
So
rectal.
either you cut this at the neck so that this tract which might have been blocked, you can decompress the balloon by cutting at the neck. The other option is by doing a USG suprapubic incision. You can rupture the balloon. Okay.
Yes.
What is the option if you cannot put Foley's catheter and patient has got stricture urethra? You cannot put the Foley's catheter and the patient has a retention of the urine. So what you will do?
Suprapubic catheter, sir.
Yeah. So you have to have a suprapubic incision and put a catheter in the suprapubic incision and drain the bladder. Okay. So we finished Foley's catheter.
Sir, in case
Now,
where we rupture the balloon of the Foley's, sir, then there could be a chance that some remains of the balloon could just go and
no, this is the,
remain
no,
inside
this
the
is
bladder.
under no, this is done under USG guidance.
Sir, in
So
cases where we are giving excess of saline and we are bursting the balloon, sir, or
it
via
won't
a
say
guide
it is
wire and
made
we
up
are
of.
bursting the balloon.
No, this is a see. The thing is, this is a rubber. So it is not like having a blast and you will have fragments of this. So any small incision or a small hole in this balloon, it will immediately rupture. It is like your balloon. You will inflate the balloon, and if you want to rupture even a pinprick to a balloon can rupture the balloon. It doesn't disintegrate into multiple pieces. So this is not like a firecracker where you will have a blast and you will have multiple pieces. It is a single pin prick also. The balloon will be ruptured and it will not disintegrate into pieces. That is why it is made of this specific rubber material.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
So this there
These are
are two
insulin
types. One is these are insulin syringe. One is black and one is red. So what is the difference between the two?
one is calibrated up to 40 and the other up to 100.
Yes. So one is the red one is always 1 ml is divided by 40 markings, while the black one 1 ml is divided into 100 markings. And generally we use if you have an insulin which is 40 units per ml, you have to use this. If the insulin bottle says it is 100 units per ml, then you will have to use the black one. Other thing is that it is used for Mantoux test as well as for giving intradermal test also. It has got a very fine needle. It is generally single use. You generally should not use it for generally you should use it for only one injection, but most of the patients use it for 1 or 2 days. If you use it multiple times, the tip will get blunt and it will be a painful injection. What other options what are the other insulin delivery systems you know of?
There are cartridges which are available. Then we have injection pens for insulin. We have continuous subcutaneous infusion pumps which are also available. Then there are monitored automated monitored systems which it is a part of that continuous subcutaneous infusion pump, where one is for automatizing sensor and the other part is for injecting the insulin dosage, appropriate insulin dosage depending upon the changes.
Right. So one is through the bottle and there is a syringe. You have an insulin bottle and you have a syringe. The other is using pens or refills. And the third you said is CSII, that is continuous subcutaneous insulin infusion pumps. So these are the modes how insulin
We
can
also
be
have inhalational form.
We have inhalational forms, but that is not widely used, and especially in COPD or asthma patients, where patients having lung diseases, the insulin absorptions are not appropriate. So the best mode is by giving either continuous subcutaneous insulin infusion pumps or by using insulin pens. But in view of the financial constraint, we commonly all the patients in India, most of them use this insulin syringes. And in this, then the questions will come: what are types of insulin? What are rapid acting insulins? What are long acting insulins? What are intermediate acting insulins? What is the difference between all three of them?
Yes.
So these questions will come and you will have to answer them in your practicals.
Sir, if the insulin syringe is not available, can like a 2 cc syringe be used, which can be filled up to 1 cc, and can it be used?
No, because insulin syringe, the gradations, the units are different compared to your 2 cc syringe.
Yes.
And a 2 cc syringe we won't be able to fit in with this fine needle. So, and this needle is specifically for subcutaneous or intradermal. So, never use a 2 cc syringe.
Okay, sir.
And these syringes are available free of cost in our municipal hospitals. So, it is advisable not to use a 2 cc or 5 cc syringe to give insulin, because you won't be able to calibrate the dose. Because the bottle, in the insulin bottle, it is written that 40 units per ml, and this is a 1 ml syringe. So if you are taking 5 markings, then it becomes 5 units. If you are taking 10 marking, it becomes 10 units. Similarly, for a black colored insulin syringe, you have to use a bottle having 100 units per ml and not 40 units per ml. If you mix 40 units for a 40 units per ml for a black syringe, then your dosage won't be appropriate. Okay, that education you will have to give to the patient, and you have to personally see in OPD what type of insulin the patient is using.
Okay, sir.
Anyone?
Sir, it is a insulin pen.
Yes, so it is an insulin pen. It is a refill pen because it can be used multiple times. The cartridge can be used multiple times. Okay, and the parts are you have here you can put in the cartridge. The cartridge will look like this. You have a small there is an attachment for the needles also. So every time you have to change the needle after one shot. The needle has got a cap, and above the cap you can use this is a cap for the pen. This is the cap for the needle, and this you can keep in the pocket. Once it doesn't require refrigeration. Once it is out of the refrigerator at room temperature, you can use it for 45 days, or even that is one approximately for 1.5 months. So it doesn't require refrigeration. That is advantage. Other it is easy to carry it. You can put it in your pocket, and it is easy to use also. You just have to, this is a dial. Once you rotate the dial, you can measure the units 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And uh, once you decide how many units you have to take, for example 10 units, then you just have to press the button. Once you press the button, the insulin will come out of this needle. It has to be whenever you're generally it has to be given over abdomen or over the thigh. Over the abdomen and over the thigh, it should be at 90 degrees to the skin. And uh, and it is a very good device because it is user friendly, and this is more advantageous, slightly costly than your syringes, but it is the most advisable and most and there is no wastage of the insulin, therefore it is more cost effective also. Okay, any questions regarding this?
Sir, what form of insulin is given and which form is not given or not available?
See,
There
the
is something.
cartridge are all the cartridge which are produced by the respective companies are compatible to the pen. So if you are using a particular pen, particular that company pen, the same company cartridge has to be used preferably. And all the insulins nowadays are recombinant technology, human insulins. So you can use Actrapid, human insulin R, and human insulin N also is available. Or you can use combinations like Aspart, Glulicin, Lispro. So these insulins can be used also rapid acting as well as intermediate acting, or your ultra long acting insulin, that is Glargine or Detimir, can be used. So the only thing is that you have to load the cartridge and you have to use the pen.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So anyone who will tell this?
Rubber catheter, simple rubber catheter.
Yes, this is a simple rubber catheter. What is the use?
It is used where there is a acute retention of urine. Can relieve the
Yes, yes.
and
So
bladder washes. And
bladder wash.
whenever we want to do a culture testing, we can collect sample from it and to differentiate between urine, matlab retention of urine. Is it a retention of urine or it is anuria?
Yes, so you can know if the urine comes out, and to diagnose anuria, you should collect urine for at least 24 hours, or to
Yes.
say it is oliguria. So that criteria won't fit into this. It can be used as tourniquet also, and it can be used for suctioning also because it has got a blunt tip, a small eye is there, and you have a large drainage end also. So apart from it can be used for intermittent catheterization also. So in patients who don't require Foley's catheter or who feel uncomfortable with Foley's catheter, uncomfortable who feel uncomfortable with Foley's catheter, then in these patients you can use this intermittent catheterization at home also. Patient can self catheterize. So what are the side effects?
UTI same as
Tanmay, can you stop that the noise disturbance? हाँ बोल ना.
sir, it may lead to infection.
Yeah, it can lead to infection, it can lead to false passage, it can lead to trauma also. But the advantage it will never cause, since there is no, it is not self-retaining, so complication of that balloon won't be there. Okay, sometimes in Foley's catheter, if you don't inject, if you don't not inject, if you don't pass the Foley's catheter till the bifurcation, and in midway only if you try to inflate the balloon, when the catheter is in the urethra, the balloon inflation will cause rupture of the urethra. So that complication is not there in this. So that balloon complications are not there. It can be removed easily. And it is single use sterile. Okay. Anyone want to volunteer? This is a. Anyone wants to volunteer, Tanmay? This is a ICD, intercostal drainage tube. It has got a proximal, a distal end. It has got a blue line which is radio opaque, can be seen on X-ray. It has got multiple fenestrations for drainage of the pleural fluid as well as of the empyema also. And it is made up of Vortex, non-pyrogenic, and it is sterile, single use. And it is a wide bore, so the pus can drain or the fluid can drain rapidly. It can also be used in pneumothorax. Okay. So what are the complications it can cause? So indications are pleural effusion, massive pleural effusion, recurrent pleural effusion or malignant pleural effusions. Patients having hydropneumothorax, pyoneumothorax, patient having pneumothorax, patient having a hemopneumothorax or just hemothorax also, you will have to put an ICD. So, what are the complications of this ICD?
Spread of infection.
Yes, one is infection. There is a blockage also. So then you will have to do blockage. Then you will have to milk the ICD. That is, you will have to. There is an instrument for which you can milk. It is like a milking instrument, and you will have to remove the blockage. ICDs can also be used for fluorodesis also. So you can put talcum powder, doxycycline, or rifampicin and cause chemical fluorodesis. So this will prevent the recurrent pleural effusion. Also in thoracic surgery, you use the ICD in bypass surgeries or in thoracic surgeries like pneumonectomies or decortication surgeries. You will use the ICD. So we have seen the indications, we have seen the parts, we have seen the complications also of the ICD. So any question regarding this ICD?
Level is it inserted? Fifth intercostal space, right?
Pardon?
So at what level is it inserted? Is it fifth intercostal space?
Your voice is breaking, Tanmay.
Hello. So am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Sir, at what level is it inserted? Is it fifth intercostal?
It can be inserted in the fifth intercostal space, as well as it can be inserted in your second intercostal space also. It depends on the skill of the surgeon, the location of the loculated effusion or the loculated empyema, and the site of the pneumothorax also. So, and it can be inserted in the midclavicular line or in the mid-axillary line also. Any other questions regarding ICD?
So, what are the different ways by which we confirm the correct position of the ICD?
One is by sonography, and the commonest is the X-ray. So the only precaution we have to take in the ICD is that most the fenestrations should be into the pleural space, or they should be intrathoracic. Otherwise, if the fenestrations are outside or the tube by mistake has been pulled out, then the patient can develop a pneumothorax. Okay, so that caution you have to take. One more complication is subcutaneous emphysema. So if this fenestration is into the subcutaneous tissue, then there will be collection of the air in the subcutaneous tissue, and you will develop a subcutaneous emphysema, which is a dangerous thing because it can spread into the subcutaneous planes, and it can cause laryngeal edema also, and it will compress the veins, not the arteries. So if the patient develops subcutaneous emphysema, that is swelling of the upper chest as well as the neck and swelling of the face also, then you will have to do a decompression by giving slits on the skin and relieving the subcutaneous emphysema.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
That is.
Sir, to prevent this emphysema and pneumothorax risk, that's why we keep the tube under the water level, right? So to prevent the
So
air.
yes, so you always have to have a water seal. So that I will show in your next slide. So that we'll discuss in the next slide. Okay. So what is this? This is not a water seal, huh?
So this is a underwater seal tube.
No, this is
A
not a
bag
water seal.
with the tube. Blood is-
This is not a water seal. The water seal I will have a different picture. This is also not a water seal. So this is a water seal. But first let us discuss this. This is a simple Eurosac urine collection bag or drainage collection bag. And what is the indication of this Eurosac?
Sir, in case you are doing static fluid tap or any tap or
There are a lot of disturbances. Tanmay, there is a lot of disturbance.
so actually, so one second. So now is it
Hello.
okay? Hello.
हाँ बोलो ना.
So now is it okay?
Your voice is still breaking.
Okay. So now. Okay,
Yes.
so okay, sir, for fluid collection, ascitic fluid tap or in pleural fluid tap or in or for urine collection.
Urine collection or collection of the drainage also. If the patient is having intra-abdominal drain, then also you can use this Eurosac. You can use this fluid collection bag. Okay, and you can know the drainage in 24 hours. You can know the urine output in 24 hours. You can know the amount of ascites, or you can measure the amount of abscess also, especially in liver abscess patients. You can collect the abscess fluid, and you can, since it is transparent, you can not only measure, you can see the consistency, you can know the content, you can know the viscosity, and you will know the color also of the liquid which is collecting in the bag. side effect will be only infection. If you have not drained it, there is a drainage outlet over here, then there is an inlet also. So this drainage outlet, you will have to drain the bag so that it doesn't become a site of infection. What is this?
Collection bag.
Anyone wants to volunteer?
Or it is a urine collection bag.
The urine collection bag. Apart from that, there is a urometer also. So if the patient, as you said, is anuric or oliguric, then you want to measure hourly urine output. Then in ICUs or in wards also, you can arrange a uroflow meter so that hourly you can measure the urine output. So generally the urine output hourly should be minimal 0.5 ml per kg per hour. So that 0.5 to 1.5 ml per kg per hour. So per hourly you can measure the urine output and you can decide the dose of Lasix, or you can decide if the patient is anuric. So apart from the urine bag, because once you measure it hourly, you can just tilt it and this urine will drain into this bag, urine bag, collection bag. So the advantage of this is hourly urine output can be measured and you can appropriately manage the patient. Okay, if the urine output is less and blood pressure is also low, or you feel the patient is hypovolemic, then you can give fluids to the patient and hydrate the patient. Or if the patient is hypervolemic, you can give diuretics to the patient. Okay, loop diuretics to the patient. Okay, this is a ICD bag, intercostal drainage. When the patient is put in ICD, then the ICD has to be attached to this ICD drain bag. Why it is ICD drain bag? Because if you see, there is a tube which goes to the end of the bag, and there is a dotted margin where you will have to fill this bag with normal saline or sterile water. So it is like a water seal, and therefore this is specifically used for intercostal drainage, to connect to the intercostal drain. And it has got an inlet, it has got an outlet also. You can measure the intercostal drainage fluid by the various markings made on the back. Okay, and it has got a long tube so that patient can walk with the ICD as well as holding the bag also. So any questions regarding this? This is sterile bag. It can be kept, it can be attached for multiple days also.
So what is the capacity?
The capacity will be depending on the bag. You can read it on the bag only. So there is, it can be from 2 liters. Also depends on the size of the bag. Sometimes
Okay.
rather than a plastic bag, there is a can also, especially if you go to surgical CVTS wards. So you will, rather than this plastic bag, there is a big can, and there are 2 big cans, so that those patients who undergo bypass surgery or go thoracic surgery, those cans are large cans, and therefore it can be kept for a long time. While in medical wards we don't use cans, we use this ICD drainage bag.
Okay.
So what are the criteria to remove the ICD if it is placed? Like what ml of drainage?
See, if your
Or,
drainage,
in what?
if there is no drainage from the ICD, or if the drainage is less than 100 ml per day, or generally we say less than 50 ml per day, if clinically the patient is better, he doesn't have pain, he is not breathless, if hemodynamically stable also, if the oxygen saturation of the patient is good, on X-ray the fluid has decreased, or doing a USG of the chest, the fluid is very minimal, then we can remove the ICD. The major criteria is the drainage should be less. If the drain is more than 100 ml, we should not remove the ICD. Once the lungs are inflated, we can remove the ICD in pneumothorax. But in a hydropneumothorax or in a recurrent or massive flow diffusion, once the drainage is less than 50 ml per day, we can remove the ICD. Because that 50 ml won't be drained, it will be resolved by the pleura only.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Identify.
It's a three-way cannula.
Yes.
It has two inlets and one outlet.
Okay.
The same can be rotated in various directions. It is sterile,
Rather than cannula,
non-punching. Yes.
rather than cannula, you can just say it is a three-way.
Okay.
When we say cannula, it is a IV cannula. So you can say
Okay,
it is a three-way, or you can say it is a bivalve. Okay.
Okay.
Huh. So what is the advantage of attaching it? Where it is attached?
It can be attached to an IV set.
Okay. It is
At the
here.
time,
It is attached to the IV set. Here it is attached to the IV cannula.
yes, sir.
Okay, this is attached where you can attach to IV cannula, and here you can attach to IV sets. So it is a bivalve. So there are two ways where we can give fluids to the patient, and we can regulate the flow of the liquid by rotating this valve, okay, or the screw. So what are the
Yes.
advantages of this?
Two fluids can be given simultaneously at the
Yes.
same time.
Yes. So if you just put a IV cannula, you can attach only one IV set or the IV fluid to it. But by putting a bivalve, you can attach two fluids to the patient simultaneously. Okay. Or one end you can give an injection, and on the other end you can attach a IV fluid. Okay. The side effect is
We can cause air embolism if it is not
air
closed after
embolism.
usage.
Okay, air embolism very unlikely, but it is a major site of infections in ICUs. Therefore, it has to be covered with betadine gauze. So
Okay.
you have to have a gauze soaked with betadine, and you will have to cover this wall. Okay, it's a major site of infection. It can be attached to your central venous line also. So here you can attach a scalp pin, or you can attach a IV cannula, or you can attach a central venous line also. Okay.
Sir, there was a doubt for ICD bag.
Pardon?
What? So for maximum, how many days can we keep the ICD bag?
See, the ICD bag, you'll have to measure daily the amount of ICD drain, and every few days, after 48 hours or 72 hours, you will have to replenish this saline, because it will be a site of infection. So you will have to drain out the bag every third or fourth day, so that it won't be a site of infection. And the ICD bag can be kept for a few weeks also. We have seen ICD bags kept for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or even 6 weeks also. So till your lung expands, till your fluid is drained, you can keep the ICD bag. If you feel the ICD bag has become very unclean, you can change the ICD bag by disconnecting it from the ICD. But when you disconnect it from the ICD, ensure that you clamp the ICD, otherwise the patient will develop a pneumothorax.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
Sir, the same question in case of a ICD drainage tube. Like, sir, for how long that same tube can be used?
You
Or is
can
it
keep it for even 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks also.
okay? So the same tube.
There is the same tube. You don't have to replace it. Till the criteria is till the lung expand or till the fluid is drained.
Okay, sir.
Anyone wants to volunteer this?
So I'm not
This is a central venous
central.
line. Yes. So this line is used to monitor the diagnosis is to monitor the CVP, okay, the central venous pressure, and it has got three ports. Sometimes it has got a single port, sometimes a double port, sometimes it has got three ports also. The advantage of three ports is from one you can give IV fluids, you can inject drugs, and to other port you can attach a monitor to measure the CVP continuously. Or to, so this is generally used in ICUs when the patient you want to know whether it is a hypovolumic shock or a hypervolumic shock. It will differentiate. If the CVP is low, you will have to give fluids. That is hypovolumic shock. If the CVP is high and the blood pressure is low, but the CVP is high, it becomes a cardiogenic shock or it becomes a septic shock also. So it has got diagnostic value as well as it has got therapeutic indications also. The tip is generally it has to be in the SVC or into your right atrium. If the tip goes into your right ventricle, then there are high chances of ventricular arrhythmias. So by doing an X-ray, you can confirm the tip because the central venous line is radio opaque. So you can trace the line also, the central venous line in the neck from your internal jugular vein into your superior vena cava into your right atrium. So it will detect your right atrial pressures also if you attach a monitor to it. Okay, and the complication is it is a site of infection. It can lead to right side infective endocarditis. It can lead to pulmonary embolism also. The tube, this central venous catheter can get blocked. Then you have to instill heparin through one of the port to uh, instill heparin so that the thrombus doesn't enlarge in size and the thrombus dissolves. And the other complication is, as I said, if it goes into the ventricle, then it can cause arrhythmias. And apart from damage to the endothelium of the ventricles, so it is a common risk factor is infective endocarditis. And when you have to remove it, ensure that you send the tip wall culture. It is single use, it is sterile, non-pyrogenic, and it is commonly used in the ICUs. Most of our ICU patients have this sign. The advantages of this line compared to your IV cannula is you can give a lot of fluids. You can give high volume fluids also. You can give total parental nutrition. So if you want to give total parental nutrition, you have to put a central venous line. You cannot give it through IV cannula. Especially in patients of diabetic ketoacidosis who have cardiac diseases. So in diabetic ketoacidosis, you have to push in large amount of fluids, approximately 4 to 6 liters a day. But simultaneously, the patient is having diabetic cardiomyopathy or he is having some ischemic heart disease. You cannot push in so much of fluid because the patient will go in a cardiac overload and go in cardiac failure. So in those patients, you will require a central venous line. Any questions? Tanmay, any questions?
There are no questions. Just so no. Sir, in case of if there is no emergency, instead of jugular vein, we can insert it peripherally also, right?
This arrow catheters, they generally are made for IJV only. You can insert into the femoral vein, but not in the brachial vein.
Okay,
we generally don't put it in the brachial vein because they are not compatible with that vein. They are compatible with femoral vein, or they are compatible with your IJV, internal jugular vein, or even they are compatible with your subclavian vein also. So the three sites you can put is subclavian, IJV, and femoral, not into your cubital vein. Okay, the other complication while putting this catheter is you have to use a Seldinger's technique. So that technique you have to specifically see when our registrars are putting. Other the complication which can occur while putting the catheter rather than IJV, the doctor can prick the carotid artery. So sometimes carotid puncture could be life threatening. The reason is it is an artery. So whenever you puncture a carotid artery, lot of hematoma occurs and it becomes an emergency. So a very tight compression has to be given. If there is a tearing of the wall of the carotid artery, then you will have to call the CVTS specialty to repair the carotid wall also. And especially while putting subclavian, there is a very less chance that you can puncture the pleura and cause a pneumothorax. And while putting a subclavian, you have to be very careful. The reason is there is no if there is a bleeding, if there is a bleeding occurring, then you won't be able to compress at the subclavian site. While in IJV, while puncturing the IJV, there is an ample area where you can give compression over the neck. While putting subclavian, that advantage is not there. So one of the disadvantage of subclavian site is subclavian vein puncturing is if it can cause a pneumothorax or it can cause a hematoma and a hemothorax.
So, how many days can we keep the central line?
Central line, see all the IV lines preferably keep it to the minimal. You can keep the central line for 48 hours or 72 hours or few days also. But if you don't take care of this central venous catheter or central venous line, then there is a high chance of infection and that will be fatal for the patient. So whenever possible, always count the days and as early as possible remove the central venous line. You can keep it for maximum 4 to 5 days also, but it is advisable that as soon as the condition of the patient stabilizes, remove the central venous catheter. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, thank you.
These are vacutainers.
Yes. So don't go to the colors. Tell me the colors which are used in the wards.
Red color.
So if you have a red color, then it is used for?
It does not contain any anticoagulant. It is just used for biochemistry studies. Primarily.
Biochemistry, that is for electrolytes,
Electrolytes.
LFT, RFT, for serological studies also. You can use the red colored vacutainer. Then the purple colored vacutainer like this.
It contains EDTA.
Yes. So use it for CBC.
Okay, sir.
What is the full form of EDTA?
Ethylene diamine
tetrachloroacetic acid. Ethylene diamine tetrachloroacetic acid. It is used for CBCs. It is used for ESR. It is used for blood grouping also. Okay. Then you have a blue colored vacutainer. What does it contain?
Contains
what
sodium
it is used
citrate.
For? Sodium citrate.
It contains sodium citrate. It is used for coagulation studies.
Yes, for APT, APTT, thrombin time, fibrinogen levels. Okay. Then you have a gray colored vacutainer. What does it contain and why it is used?
It contains sodium fluoride and it is used for glucose estimation studies.
Glucose estimation, right. So you in our wards we use the red, gray, blue and purple only. And you know what are the contents and you should know what are the uses of it. Okay. So this is a red one. This is a EDTA tube.
Yes, sir.
and the blue one is, as you said, sodium citrate, and the gray one is a fluoride tube. Okay, we don't use black or yellow also. There are only four colors: the red, the purple, the blue, and the gray. This is a specimen container. Why it is used?
It is used for collection of any specimen. Like it can be used for collection of sputum. It can be used for collection of stools. It can be used for any collection of any secretions.
Urine also. So
Yes.
urine, stools, or sputum collection, so that you can analyze them. So it is a simple container, but questions will be on what are the investigations you will do in stool, routine, microscopy, occult blood, what are the organisms you can see on the stool. All the questions will come on urine or on sputum. So those questions will be asked to you if you get the specimen container. Okay.
These are disposal bags of various colors, depending upon the
Yes.
biomedical waste management rules
So
protocol.
this is a hospital waste management protocol. So what is that? You use yellow. Where you use yellow? When you use red? When you
Red
use
is all
black?
for red is for all the recyclable items or even the plastic items which are non-infected, can be disposed of in the red bag. Yellow is for all the infectious material. It can also be used for cytological waste. It can be used for anatomical waste, bed soilings, or contaminated blood products, or to dispose of
Body
the
parts.
urine from the urinary bag.
Yes.
Body parts, pharmaceutical waste, microbiological and pharmacological waste, all of which can be disposed of in the yellow colored bag. Blue bag is for glass and for cardiac implant disposal. Also, blue
Yes.
containers can be used.
Yes.
And
And the black is for
general.
the general waste. Okay. So yellow, just remember, yellow is for human organs or for bandages or for patient related articles, while red is used for your blood or urine bags or your catheter, gloves. You put in the red bag. Okay. Your as you said, blue bag is for syringes, ampules, sharps, and the black is for your general waste. So generally they are not put, but you should know the color coding and the waste disposal also. Okay. So that is it. Uh, any questions you have, Tanmay?
So I just check 1 minute. So we'll wait for just 1 more minute for the questions.
Sir, in case of the current COVID-19 protocol that is followed, where the suits and all are worn, what is the disposal protocol for it? Because there is a discrepancy between the AIMS guidelines and the national guidelines. So what do we follow?
We generally dispose it in the yellow bag only, because they are highly infectious.
Okay, sir.
So most of the mask, the gown, the PP, as well as the headgear, the goggles, everything are disposed in yellow containers.
So there is a question, do we use the black bag? Was there some change in protocol?
Pardon?
So do we still use the black bag?
Yes, black bags are used in the wards.
Okay.
Black bags are used in the wards.
So was there any
we
recent
have the yellow bag, the red bag, and black bags. Yes.
So was there any change in protocol recently regarding black bag?
I don't have any idea. If there is a change, I will let you know.
Okay.
Sir, in this case, in this chart, like sir, the blood is actually a contaminous product. So shouldn't it be
Yes.
disposed in yellow bag? And urine is for red bag.
No, even the blood items go in the red bag. But I'll update you regarding this protocol.
So
If there is a
because
change in protocol, I'll update you.
in TSM, I suppose that urine for urine bag, the urine is disposed in yellow bag, whereas the
Yes,
bag is
yes.
thrown in red. Whereas in case of the blood, since it may be possible that the blood products can be attached to the bag, so we dispose of the bag in the yellow bag. I suppose
Okay.
I
So
read.
I'll just update you regarding this if there is a
Okay, sir.
change. So Tanmay will close.
Questions? Yes, sir. If there are any questions, no. Yes, sir. We can close.
Hello, sir.
Okay.
Sir, can you please enlist the non-urinary uses for Foley's catheter?
Non-urinary uses for Foley's catheter. It can be used in abortions. It can be used in abortions. It can be used as in epistaxis for nasal packing. So it is generally used for nasal packing. That's it. These two non-urine indications I know of. One is for, and it is used for suprapubic also. It can be used for suprapubic catheterization, and it can be used for PEG also, because since the balloon is self-retaining, it can be used for as a PEG, that is, or you can use for jejunal feeding, that is jetty feeding. But I have seen it only once, that is the Foley's catheter were inserted for jejunal feeding. So three things. One is used for gynec for abortions, during epistaxis for packing, for jejunostomy feeding, and that's it.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Is it used for as a tourniquet or is it used for balloon tamponade?
No, balloon tamponade, then you use a Sengsteken Blackmore tube, which was there previously used, but in view of ogidoscopy, we don't use it for hematemesis. But Sengsteken Blackmore tube, which has got a gastric and esophageal balloon, can be used as a tamponade. And Foley's catheter used in epistaxis, the balloon itself, the inflated balloon itself gives a compression and prevents the nasal bleeding.
Okay. And how is it exactly used for abortion?
No, I don't have. You will have to ask the gynecologist. I think they pass the Foley's catheter and they inflate the balloon. That balloon itself becomes the irritant and it will cause abortion. But I don't know the exact technique.
Okay.
But in exam, tell medical indications always have to be told first. Followed by, if the examiner asks, then you can go ahead with non-medical indications, non-medicine related indications. But always tell medical indications first.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. So that is it, I think. Yeah.
Okay. So we will stop here. And best of luck for your exams, all of you.
Sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.